Hey, can you see me?
Yes, can you see me?
Yes, you look fabulous. Great beard.
I've never grown it this long.
It's really great. I got to tell you, it's epic. It's heroic.
I
Hey.
sometimes walk through the bathroom because to get into this room, you got to walk through the bathroom,
Hmm.
and I'll get a glimpse of myself in the mirror. I'm like, wow, that's long.
But
I,
do you like it though?
yeah, well, yeah. Um,
Okay.
the wife doesn't really like it all that much. Well, she's getting
Oops.
sick of it, right?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's all good. And then, but I, my last trick for this is I'm gonna try to get one of those hipster beards just to see what it looks like.
Yeah. You can do it. You got the look. Yeah.
It's only 10 or 20 bucks
Yeah. Come on.
and a tip. Yeah,
Yeah, live a little.
yeah. Well, no, I asked one of my friends who's a hairdresser where the best place is, because they know these things.
Yeah.
So they told me, and I'm gonna go there and give
Oh,
them a
boy.
picture.
You have to post it. You got to post the look before you do anything drastic after you do.
Yes, indeed.
Go
Yes,
anyway.
indeed.
How you
Just make
doing?
sure. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Oh, much better, much better. And I was worried, concerned, I should say, for your stress level. You were looking really tough. Oh, good Lord.
I want to thank you for all your assistance. It was amazing. Amazing.
The universe provides. What can I say?
I was talking to somebody the other day, a very talented modeler, and I didn't say no names. I just said like this project was being was so the Rapido project was so challenging. It challenged me with my transportation, with my family a little bit. Like the family's understanding, like they're into this stuff. So that was not as bad as the car. And then also the financing of living in creative engineering land for an entire month.
Right.
Because you gotta eat.
Oh, that.
There's breakfast every morning at the restaurant. And even though that's $7 over a month, that's a $7 I never spent before. So it's outside of my budget. The car breaking down. The car got broke into. And the car broke down about 2 days after it got broken into. One day after I fixed the window. So the financing, it was just crazy. So your insight and assistance was amazing, and it came out of the blue.
Yes, and it did for me too. I got to tell you, it was totally unexpected on my part. It was like, oh, this is, and I said, I got to send this out, so that's what it was.
I keep on thinking it's my father's assistant somehow up there, wherever he is. I think he goes and does these things, puts the touch on people, because ever since he passed, I feel like no matter how big my challenge is, there's always a cleared path for me to the top of the hill.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't matter how steep it is still a clear path that I can see the end of it. So I'm just like, we'll do it, even though I'm like this at the top. Yeah.
I can't do this.
Yeah.
So how was it packing it up, though? I mean, that was an engineering feat in itself, right? Shipping it over. Was that a heart attack special?
Actually, no. In the end, I thought it was going to be we were going to screw them all together so that once we got them there, they could also have a thought of what they're going to do when they're traveling. Because that was big on my mind, but it was really something that I couldn't do.
Right.
I didn't have the time to do it. So what I actually did, the car broke down, so I made good friends with the local rental car guy. And while he picked me up to get a rental car one weekend, because I had to rent cars to go back and forth to see the family and all that jazz, he looked at the layout.
Yeah.
Right? And he's like, so how are you going to get this to Toronto? And it became his plan. So he's such a cool guy. His name is Andrew. It's Enterprise Rent-A-Car. They're
Oh,
amazing people. And he came up with a plan, and he said, "You just tell me when you need to do this, and I'll set it up for you, man." And I was just like, "Ew. Let's go get coffee on the way. I'll buy."
absolutely. Very
So
good.
it was a lot of fun, and it just felt like, oh, the whatever, the powers that surround you, the
Hmm.
chaos and the light, was
Hmm.
all at a big war
Yeah.
while it
Yeah.
was happening, and there
Oh.
were so many reasons for me to run away, get
Right.
drunk,
Yeah. I'm with you on that one.
implode, and I didn't take the opportunity to. And I think I really got to thank you, because at that time when I was like really at a breaking point, I wasn't telling anybody, because I'm really not into getting sympathy or pity from people. So
Me too. I'm like that. No, I'll do it on my own. And it's like, no.
it's so amazing to know that somebody's watching.
Your psychic email. I mean, I really believe in psychic email. It just works. There's a whole other system out there that gotta believe in.
Wow. It works in between Ontario and Massachusetts.
Yes.
Can you say the name so I can hear it once?
Massachusetts.
Oh, that makes it easy.
Choo
There
choo.
we go. Okay, I got you. I got you. Massachusetts.
Because I know a number of people from Canada that say it the way you do.
Yeah. Yeah. All funny.
Yeah. It's okay. I understand. I'm working with you, so
Yeah,
it's
right on, right on. So that project got delivered. It wasn't completed. The track work wasn't amazing. I apologize to them for that, but I made it so that they could take it. Like I ran out of time. They have to go to the UK with it, so they told me a deadline. Once I ran out of track to complete the gluing it down, I just said I'm going to do the transition points where the copper pads weld the rail nice and close to each other. I just did all that and dropped it off, and they sounded appreciative, and I hope they like it. I don't know.
But did they give you feedback once they unpacked it and all that? I mean, it was.
They are busy. So what's the date today? So they might be gone already. I think that the deadline was the 26th, and I dropped it off the 23rd. So they're working like nuts. So I don't know. When I'll tell you this, and this is what the bottom line importance is that when I looked at it, I loved it.
Oh, good.
Right?
Pay attention to that. You got to pay attention. Yes.
Yeah, and it's often the fact where I do a project, like the original diorama that I did for these guys, I was so distraught by the end of the 2 weeks. I hated it, and I wanted to just get it out of my door, right? But now that I've seen that design over 3 or 4 years in my head, recreating it worked out pretty nicely in my mind. Like, I would have liked another week or two to refine what I did, but the basis was there, and whoever's moving on from what I started, they got it.
Yeah. It's out of your hands. You did your very, very best.
So,
I mean, you weren't still gluing as you were packing it up, because I've been in situations like that. Where UPS is waiting out there, and I'm still super gluing certain things.
I almost had that situation. Like, I didn't even talk about that one. Like, I talk about all these problems that I had. It was below zero, like in Celsius. In Canada, it's very simple to know when things freeze, because you go down to zero and you're frozen. You start freezing. -1, you're freezing. You're done.
Yeah.
Well, white glue don't.
White glue does not like cold. Anything below 65, white glue gets a little iffy.
Yeah, so while I have a heater in the shop here, the shop of where I was at, there was no heater.
Oh, that looked painful too. And those red curtains bringing that kind of murky light in. Oh, and a hole in the floor. Oh,
Yeah, the wine red light or the burgundy curtains, they're just a little too dramatic for
yeah.
me. I don't know. Gonna have to switch those. Good point. But yeah, so the glue wouldn't cure. It would turn white and spongy on me. So right up until the 25th, it was frozen here. So the morning of the 25th, the sun came out, and I opened up all the doors in the shop so that I could get all that sun heat.
Yeah.
It's how cold it was. I was using sun heat from the draft to dry everything, and luckily, I've never put so much scenic foam on a layout. But it's glued now because it's got layers and layers, and the bottom layers are all white.
God. God. It's like the Hoover Dam, the Hoover Dam in Colorado, where Nevada. The concrete is still curing.
What?
Yes, they had to put cooling units in between the slabs of the concrete, and it's still curing. It takes that long, and because the Hoover Dam is so thick and deep and stuff like that, so it's the same situation.
Oh my goodness.
Isn't that weird? Things you don't want to know about.
So is it going to be cured by the time it's out of service, or?
Yeah, just. I mean, how's that for an engineering feat? Actually, when I was in Vegas for a job for 5 weeks, and so I actually went out to see Hoover Dam because it's so iconic, and it's an amazing. It's tiny, but it is like, oh my God, look what they've done. So when I read that part about it, that it's still curing, it's like shit.
Yeah, well, that's okay. You know what? That's a living life when you can really challenge your brain with standing on something like that, or sitting on a boat at the bottom of Niagara Falls.
I almost did it, but I couldn't do no.
I've done it twice.
Oh, jeez.
And it scares the hell out of me.
I'm going to die now. I mean, that's how you see it. I'm going to die now.
I'm not a big boat person or airplane person. I like to be in control of where I'm going to dive, and being at the bottom of Niagara Falls, I'll play the part for the kids.
Right.
But on the inside, holy smokes.
Well, they just turned it off. A couple years ago, they directed the water again and shut down Niagara Falls to clear out all the rocks. I mean, I didn't know they were able to do that. It also froze a couple years ago, too.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, so they can redirect the water through the pipes because that's how big those pipes are. Like above the falls, they collect the water and they send it down through generators. So if they open that right up, and I'm sure there's a damming system that they've got created. So I haven't seen it. That would be neat to see.
It's kind of creepy. I mean, because there's just so much rocks and it's so big. I mean, you don't. All we know is the water, but then when you see the rocks, it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I don't know. Stuff like that.
It's just insane. People go over that thing in barrels still.
I know. What do they do? Wake up in the morning? Hey, I think I'll go in a barrel. It's like, or tightrope walk.
Some people just gotta live life their own way.
I'm such a wimp. I am such a wimp.
I'm happy with my direction.
Absolutely.
So how about your projects?
Well, I might have written to you on occasion that, I had that real slump from November until, was it January, February, March? Nothing happened. Nothing. I mean, it was just the weirdest. And I think this is an important topic for for creative people and model makers and stuff like that. Where is there an ebb and a flow and, and whatever. But to have such a dry spell, because my mind's always going and I'm always interested in stuff like that. But it was painful, and I didn't know how to get around it. And I did exercises and took walks, whatever. And I didn't want to think that this was the last job I was ever going to do or whatever. And and I guess that's part of the topic too. How do you jumpstart these things? And but I just waited and kept myself busy and did research and hoped for that spark. And then when it did happen, I had 3 photos. I did 3 photo sessions and model projects consecutively within a week. And 2 of the photos are the best things I've ever done at this point. And it was like,
Wow.
so something was clearly percolating and needed to come out. And I didn't overthink it because I think out of desperation, maybe, just don't think about it anymore. And I don't know how I could, they were so successful that I don't know if I can recreate that again. That's the fear you and I talked about. Can I do this again? Do I have it within me? Because if I was a professional, stuff like that, you always have this bag of tricks. But I think that might be not a real theory. You can have a bag of tricks, but it just doesn't always work. So.
Well, it would be nice if you if you came with me once to go meet Ken Patterson, because to watch that guy work, he's a professional photographer, and he works from mind vision. He gets that picture in his mind, and he just boom, 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 boom. And it's amazing, the pictures that he gets. And it's just like he's done it so many times that he's got these angles. He's got his backyard sky as a backdrop kind of thing. And it just is a system for him. However, I wanted to talk to you about, so you sent me a photo, and one of them didn't jive with me, and I gave you a response.
I don't remember what it was.
Did you?
What was it?
Well, you didn't give me a reply, so I was like, well, what did he think about that response? So that might be a good topic, too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, is this...
So it was the picture of the rail, the G-scale rail going into the distance, and then there was the it looked like a gas station, or maybe,
yes.
And then the car underneath the thing, and to me the rails looked so proud, so dominant, that they looked unrealistic as compared to the rest of the photo.
Oh, that's so interesting. No, I might have gotten. I have memory problems, so I wasn't blocking your thing. That's very curious because I know the picture very well. And actually, the rails in some of the shots, I took about 20 shots. Most of the shots had the rails even more lit up from the reflected light, and they became so glaring, perspective and stuff like that, that it detracted from, the gas station on one side. So I actually chose the less.
It also makes me think that maybe taking that photo, like you usually do a macro scene with your normal point and shoot camera, which is like this. Now, not that you have a camera or these things, but if you stood back with the zoom lens and maybe got a longer perspective along your diorama, it might fix that rail being so proud up. It might give it a little bit more perspective. I don't know. I'm not a photographer, but this is what's going on.
No, I appreciate the input because I'm just by myself, and it looks good or whatever, or I'm being hysterical or whatever. I don't have that neutral other person or people, to not to be directive, but just to say, hey, consider this.
Alternative thoughts, or
yes, yeah. It's interesting because when I grew up near the railroad tracks, I wasn't allowed to walk on the tracks, but I did anyway. But part of that in that picture of the gas station is that is a very strong image to me, to have a real forced perspective of these tracks. And maybe that's what was operating. I don't know. I'll ask God when I'm dead, and God's going to go, what are you talking about? We have better things to do than the
yeah. These odd geometries, though, are what really makes some photos, though. You see some kits where the lines just go everywhere, and it's like a mosaic of roof lines and stuff like that, and it really is interesting to the mind, because you're just curious.
Yeah.
You're just digging in. Where is all this going? Is it for real?
Yeah, no, I totally hear you. Yeah, it's also maybe this is an excuse. I don't think it is, but I'm also in a mild panic every time I do photos because I'm not a professional photographer, and so there are certain things that I'm not aware of, or I'm just kind of like, okay, maybe this is going to be okay. kind of thing. It makes me wonder if I ever took a real course in photography, how different these my photos would look. And I don't know.
That would be a lot of fun. I feel that it would be a lot of fun for me to take a photography class because I know that I can't take a class and learn something. Like I can't get an interest in something, take a class and learn something. I've got to buy that thing, learn it on my own the wrong way, then go to a class. And then because I'll just pick all the good stuff that was fixing all my broken ideas, but,
like,
I'm backwards like that,
And me too. And, I don't read instruction books. It's like, why not? I don't know. I just got to figure it out myself. It's an odd thing that I have brought. I'll take it personally. I brought it into this reality with me. And life would have been so much easier. But,
It's so true. It's so true. I just built a full computer and last night I was reading the instruction book.
Oops. A lot of oopses.
No, it's just little details here and there. Fixing my broken ideas.
There you go.
Well, yeah. So, I guess I could talk about my next project.
Yeah, please. That was my next question.
While I was in Selkirk, I got contacted by my friend Jeff Grove, and this is an O-scale kit.
Oh, geez. Okay, getting up there.
Which is twice the size of the kits I usually do. So it'd be a lot of fun to do this kit, I think.
Yeah.
Like I did an O-scale kit back in 2010,
I think. Ancient times.
Yeah, so I've learned so much in the past 8 years or 7 years, and so imagine that this is going to be a lot of fun for me.
And that's interlocking tower, is that what that's called? Or
no, this is an appliance building, and it's a downtown building that you would often see as brick.
Yes.
But it's got a siding on it, or clapboard siding, so it's a wood structure. So that would say that it's a 1800s building.
Yes. It has that extra facade at the top of the building to make the building look taller. Yeah, that's definitely. And look at the hip roof in the back. Yeah, that's definitely the last.
So
nice.
It's going to be a lot of fun. And the town I'm living in is total Pioneerville.
Oh, serious? Oh.
My house was built in 1890.
Nice.
There's no sewage or running water.
You have a septic tank?
Yeah.
Oh. I lived in a place with this. We can have another conversation after this. Just so, good luck.
And we've got a well that brings up groundwater, so the groundwater is like orangey.
Yeah,
it's probably okay. I don't know. It's good enough for the animals, right? So
they all have two heads, but that's all right.
Yeah. So building this model, I can really start thinking back to that.
Yeah.
It's funny how the new house is kind of changing my interests. Like, I used to be really interested in the 1930s or 1970s as my two dates, but moving to this house, I'm totally interested in, 18 or 1900 kind of thing too. So, yeah, I'm rambling.
No. I mean, I'm biting my tongue here because I can say, well, the house that I live in was built in 1890s. It was at the other end of the street in 1910 or something. They actually moved this house, which is 22 rooms. They put on a sled and dragged it with horses in the snow. It was considered modern. So they took out when they moved it, they modernized it by taking out all the fireplaces and put in forced hot air. And they used the railroad ties, tracks to hold up the basement. I mean, you can go down in the basement and there are the railroad, the rails, and you go, wait a second, this was, anyway, it changed my, how the rooms, how the steep of the stairs incline and stuff like that. It really does change how you're going to move around and how you think things. And I love it. I actually love it. But
Yeah.
ooh, good luck.
Ah, well.
Anyway,
You know
so
what?
okay.
What? Go
No, go
ahead.
ahead. I was just going to say you're moving for permanently. You're moving in the summer. Is that true?
Yeah, we're waiting until the kids are done school.
Okay.
My son's got autism and he's in grade 8.
Uh-huh.
So he's challenged socially, number one. So he's made friends at this school. Grade eight's an important year because there's a graduation.
Oh.
So, I got to be considerate of these things and just deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You
Oh
know?
God. Eighth, ninth grade. Whoa. Those are bad. Those are tough years.
Yeah. So if he's going to change school, it's going to change in between 8 and 9.
Okay.
Is we're going to move in June.
Okay.
So we've started moving stuff. My parents are helping me get this place.
Okay.
We got it in November, so there's been a lot of work being done on it in the
Okay.
background, and it's a lot of fun. It'll be the challenge of my life to actually be able to pay for this thing,
Yeah.
but I feel like it's time.
Yeah.
I'm a
Yeah.
little too old to just be buying my first house, so that's done.
Yeah.
that deal is done.
Check that off your list for
Yeah,
sure.
for sure. Yeah.
So in the meantime, though, so you're slowly moving, but you're also going to start this other model, this O scale, or you could thin yourself out, right?
Well, no, a project like this will take 1 or 2, maybe 3 nights. Like
Oh,
the
okay.
first night, I'll pull it out on the table and plan it out, and I'll try to hold back and start it the next day.
Yeah.
Because it won't. These kits don't take long.
Okay.
For me, once I get the idea of colors, I'm just like step after step after step
Oh,
after
okay.
step. It's all in the pre-planning stage, building the image in my mind and just hammering at it.
Okay.
Which is great for working alone. When you're working with other people, it's not so good.
No. When I worked in the shop, there was this whole cooperation thing that had to happen, and things had to happen in a very specific way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fairly haphazard when I'm working on my own stuff. Paint here, glue here, maybe paint something, start another project, and it doesn't work with other people. Actually, which brings me to a question. I had written down a number of things that could be a topic here. Is with your new space, how are you going to organize it as opposed to what the space you have in now?
Oh my goodness.
Oh, too big a question.
No, well, the thing is I just said about that kit, I have to plan it in my head before, and I'm planning this space in my mind, and it is daunting. It's a 20-foot square room.
Yeah.
With a side room that's 20 by maybe 12.
Oh, jeez. Oh.
So that's going to be like storage and stuff like that, and the 20 by 20 is going to be the studio kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to make it as a studio. I want to have a camera on 2 walls that point at, not where I'm socializing or relaxing, but on the build area,
Right.
know, or the area where I have a model railroad if I ever set one up. And, maybe one day have a 24-hour live stream in there for when I just build, I build whenever I feel like it. You were saying when you're working with other people that you really no rhyme or reason. I call it my distracted style of building.
Oh yeah.
Because I just go from here to here to here to here. And those cameras being on would be a true insight into this. What I want to accomplish.
And also, it might be helpful to people who are watching who feel that to be professional, they have to do, A, B, C or something like that. When in fact, they watch people like me and you, whatever, we're random, but we get the project done because we have the bigger picture, maybe, or something. But it's all in there.
Yeah,
so
it's a make-believe picture. I like it. Really, it's
Yes, it is.
we're in a process of theory and practical building. You know,
Yeah,
it's like it's you build it in your mind theoretically, and then all of a sudden it becomes hands-on and it becomes tangible. You know,
yeah, 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 for sure.
that's the beauty of it. So,
So you gonna have a spray booth also, or
gonna build one. That's gonna be fun.
if you, I have a full size spray booth in storage down in the basement, but that's a whole other story. I mean, it has been sitting there for 26 years. If I can get it to you, I will give this to you. I mean, you can sit in it. I mean, it's big.
Well,
So
it's really cheap to rent cars, so I think I'm just gonna rent a car a couple of times this year and go a couple places.
okay.
St. Louis to that guy's house, and I want to go and meet you.
Oh
Again,
yeah.
again.
Yeah, again, right.
Let me
Yeah.
go grab a model. I just had an
Okay,
idea.
absolutely. Yeah.
So while I was planning for the Rapido project, I've got this thing where my mind will get away with me and I can't sleep if I allow one project to get in so
Yep.
deeply, right? So
Yep.
I had this meeting the end of February for the Rapido project, and as I had the meeting, a day after, my friend from Australia sent me a photograph of a Chinese building, and I think you've seen this before.
Yes, you were working on it, but I didn't see the finished product. You were
It's
just
not really finished yet, but it is getting there.
that is. Oh my God. Yeah.
And I built this for 2 weeks before the Rapido project started.
Good Lord, look at those mullions. Oh my God. Pain has no memory, huh? Are those all hand cut, or are they basswood strips or what?
These right here,
Yeah.
this is from a kit that I built years ago. These are some extra parts,
Okay.
and they were railings for
Uh,
something. I don't think it was HO scale. I don't know what it was. It was in the scrap box.
uh-huh. Yeah. I have a lot of scrap box too. Yeah. I
Oh,
never know.
you can't throw stuff away. Like, especially broken sprues and stuff
Yeah.
like that, or extra parts. You got to throw them in a box, man, because
You
this
never
whole
know.
thing, like the
Good Lord, look at that. Holy.
that's the same stuff with a couple of 2x4s put over it to look like security
Yeah.
fencing, and
It
it
works.
really turned out well in the end for me. Like
Excellent.
I'm so happy with
Well,
it.
isn't that a good feeling?
Yeah.
Because I have some things parked, elsewhere, and they mock me every time I go by it because, like, oh, this was just a disaster. No, this is good. So,
So here's another spot. You look here. This is acetate glass with like a matte spray on the back of it to give it the fogging.
right.
And then all these pieces, like this freezer, I suspect it's a freezer, is just a piece of styrene glued to the floor. You know, this is something painted brown. The backdrop is painted blue. Like
Uh-huh.
it's a whole scene in a shadow box kind of
Right.
thing. You
Oh,
know.
very convincing. Nice. Now,
So
would you ever internally light it? Would that affect what you just did, though? Would it disturb the sense that there's stuff in there, or would it accentuate it?
I've got holes cut
Oh,
on
okay.
the inside, like this one, so that I can put a light in. Like lights are able to be put in, and I've tried the lights out. So in this area, the back wall is actually green. You can see it through that
Yes.
window right there.
Yeah.
So it's all this apple, or it's a green color, and then you got the red curtains. So when you light it up,
Yeah.
the green shines out, and it
Absolutely.
really gives this contrasting color. And I was just so happy to. Sometimes you get a photograph, and it's like some impossible thing, and then all of a sudden you're this far into it, and you're like,
Right.
I can do that red thing, maybe I have these windows, and you got half of it done, and then you're like, maybe I'll just scribe some styrene to make it look like freezer panels or something,
and it works, and it worked. Also, to build something that is not, that's what the architectural models were weird because they were all so, rigid and, all the angles matched up. And to build something, yes, like that is not an easy project.
Yeah. Well, it might be easier in some ways because I don't have to, like, this wall right here is in no way square.
Right,
Like,
but
yeah.
Is it structurally strong though? I mean, you figured that was the whole thing.
Yeah, this thing is it. This
Okay.
is it. This stucco here is all that dirt from my driveway that I
remember.
The silt. Remember,
Yeah.
I said, like, instead of grabbing the stuff at the bottom of the bucket, you take
Yep.
the murk in the water and you let that settle, and it's a real fine stuff. Glue it on the wall.
Nice. Just mix it with white glue, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, I have to try that then.
So,
Cool.
or rather, not just white glue. I put white glue on the wall, but I use my scenic glue, which is 50-50.
Okay.
With water and then a couple drops of dish soap or glycerin.
Right.
I've started using glycerin these days.
Huh. It just works better, huh?
Well, it works better in a certain way. So the dish soap works for everything. And you put it in your glue, you put it in your spray bottle so that it takes the water tension off of stuff like that. Well, if you use glycerin, it does the same thing.
Huh.
The thing, though, that I like about glycerin is when I use this stuff as a thinner for paint, glycerin actually really suspends the pigments into the substance.
Uh-huh.
So, like, instead of the paint settling and turning into an emulsion on you, the glycerin really mixes that up properly and suspends them together longer. So that when you airbrush stuff, you've got a fuller color that's mixed.
Okay. No, I actually work understanding that, and that's a very good segue because my airbrushing style is terrible, and I was having problems with airbrushing water-based paints because it beat it up, and and it's
Clogs up.
Yeah, it was a mess. So I've been using the spray cans again, which the spray is too big, and a lot of tears there. But does glycerin leave a residue or anything like that? Is it oily, or do you have...
Well, I'm in the 1 to 2%. Like, I don't add very much of it at all.
Okay.
It's not even a quarter shot of a full isopropyl bottle.
Mm-hmm.
Or a water bottle. Yeah, I'm about a quarter to a half a shot.
Huh.
But about this airbrushing thing, I'm the same way. Like, I can accomplish. Like, if I had a working knowledge of fluid dynamics and airbrushing, I'd probably be pretty good at it,
Yes.
But I spend so much time pulling the pin out of my airbrush and cleaning out the.
Yes, and then it fits. And I have. Oh God! You see my wall? I mean, it's in my kitchen. It's like. You ever watch the slow-mo guys?
Yeah.
It looks like Gav and Dan have been in there, blowing stuff up, and it's just my airbrush, and it's like, this stinks.
Yeah. So, we should get a consultant in to talk to us. We can get 4 people into this room.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Yeah, I would really love to know. When I worked at the architectural firm and all that, the airbrush we had was a commercial airbrush for spraying cars. I mean, this canister,
oh my God.
Was it 150 pounds per square? I mean, this stuff was coming out, and I understood that for some reason. But getting down to the small one, little badge. What do I have? Iwata. I have an Iwata, whatever.
So do I. I have an Eclipse.
Oh, geez. It's too delicate. It feels like brain surgery to me. And
it is a beefy gun that I always loved. Because I've tried. They're all actually, in the end, airbrushes are a lot the same throughout. You're going to get clogged up for the same reasons.
Right.
If you're not good at paint, you're going to clog up, So a Badger airbrush might be not as beefy in the internal parts. The Iwatas are.
Mhm.
The Iwatas clog up just the same as everything else.
Don't I know that? So do you use a for your paint? Do you have the cup with the lid on it, or do you use a bottle? I mean, because
In hindsight, I think I would like the bottle because there's a lot of cleanup time, but I've got the cup on top, so I think
right,
it's called gravity fed.
yeah, gravity fed. That's what it is. Yeah, yeah. The cleanup time. Oh, geez. I'm especially when if I'm not using water based, but if I'm using tile, what is it? Tooling based or whatever. Yeah, cleaning up and taking it. I mean, I like that I know how to take the gun apart and clean it, and I'm familiar with those pieces and whatever. But the cleanup time is just ridiculous. And what do you do with all this extra spray of lacquer thinner going through there? You know,
Mm. Well, yeah,
that's why I have a tail now. I grew a tail from all this, all these toxins in me.
I
It's like,
hear that. I hear
oh,
that. You know, well, maybe that should be our homework project is to you find an airbrush artist, I'll find an airbrush artist,
okay.
and maybe one of them or both of them will come on and talk to us about it.
That would be great. I think it's important. Yeah. You know, you
Really
read.
important because I could do major parts of projects with an airbrush and be in and do it in two less steps.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like having no brush strokes is hot.
I mean, yes, it is. It makes my palms sweaty. I mean, the two projects that I got right with my Iwata and stuff like that, it looked factory finish. It was like, how did I do this? And then all went downhill after that. But
Yeah, because you forget.
I forget. I forget.
You forget that it was the airbrush, and you're like, I could do this with the brush.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Good Lord. So anyway, okay, I'll do my homework and look around for that because I do think it's a necessary thing. Um, and what else? Well, I guess the other thing, and we already touched upon it, was working alone. And could you bring in people to help you? Is that something that is desirable, or is it an approach avoidance? You know, you need the help. It's like, then I have got to figure out how to delegate and stuff. And it's not out of ego, but it's because we have very specific working methods and stuff like that. So, uh,
It comes down to control of quality. Uh, I don't want to say quality control. Like
no.
you got to stay in control. However, like when it's your project, I had a nephew that was going to help me, and I wish he did help me, and I hope he watches this someday and learns that I'm kind of pretty pissed that he didn't help me.
Connect the dots here.
But my father ended up helping me, right?
Oh,
So he's a lot like me, and we're not really work with other people type of folk.
yeah.
And I gave him the project of building the legs on the project, and he took it on, and it was his project from the front to finish. And that wasn't to say that he couldn't bounce ideas off of me,
Mm-hmm.
but that also meant that I wasn't dictating the project to him step by step. Like I just allowed him to pick his hardware, pick his stuff, and go on with it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So that was fun, and it worked out great.
Oh, good. Okay.
Now, working with another expert is a huge challenge.
Yeah.
And, you almost have to keep the same approach going on, but make sure that they also understand that approach, that you have a project, that person has a project, and you bounce off ideas off of each other, but the control is there,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So the thing about delegating these things is, if you're going to make him do the windows on a project, you're going to have faith that he's going to do it well, and you're going to have to let him go to the end and
Yeah.
then fix it if
Oh, yeah. Ouch.
not fix it, but
No. Tweak
if you're
it.
not happy with it, you have to tweak it after he's done.
But would you set up a prototype of a window. This is what I'm looking for. I mean, in some ways, you're the project manager of sorts.
Yeah, well, yeah, there I've got dioramas that I could pull down and say, here, we're going to do it with this glue because
Uh-huh.
this product is 12 years old and been sitting up in the rafters and this glue still looks great.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
but
We're in a very hard industry because or I am with model railroading. I think that you're in a niche of your own kind of.
right.
But model railroading is very hard because they want the majority of the hobby wants to be socially active. They want to connect. They want to see other people's railroads. They want to do these things where they're interacting. But the process of building a railroad is not conducive to having many hands in the pie. Even in clubs, I've noticed that the building crew is 2 or 3 people. You
Hmm.
know, the track crew is 2 or 3 people, and they own that part of the project. You know, if
Right.
people don't go in and intermix with that stuff, otherwise you have bad club politics, and
Yeah.
it crumbles,
Mhm.
right?
Quickly.
Yeah, so we're not in a hobby that is conducive really to interactive building, uh,
Right.
social building. And that's what I don't think the powers that be really understand. They want to get us all into a big social connection. But the thing is we are a hobby that's based on lone wolf building.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, you've got a partner, but you're in control. You're a lone wolf. Like, you can have helpers and friends and all this stuff and still be a lone wolf, you
Right.
know? And I think that lone wolf is a bad word to these people, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but these are facts, and it's not just me, it's the entire hobby.
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know, you've got these filthy rich people who don't want to do any, like we spoke of Mandy Paddington,
Yeah, right. I
right?
watched. I watched. Yes, and he takes his trains with him wherever he goes.
Yeah, he loves it. And did you see him on Stephen Colbert?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Did you hear the life come out of his voice? Like, I've been watching him as Saul for years on
Right.
Homeland, and he's also contemplative. He's grabbing his beard. He's very quiet and like he's collected. But on Colbert, Colbert started talking about model railroads, and the guy couldn't contain himself. He was getting over his desk, and he's just talking a mile a minute, and he's like, he had to stop to take a breath. It was just like, look at the passion in that guy.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Screw acting. Get into the trains.
Yeah, so that was kind of fun to watch that, you know. Like,
Who
and
knew?
he's a lone wolf.
Yeah.
He goes up to his attic and just wants to hang out with himself and live
And
out
it's true.
his, yeah, he wants to think about life in a comfortable spot,
Right.
you know, and that's his control zone in the middle of a roundy,
Right.
you
I don't
know.
know. What a juggling act we have, huh? I mean, family and all that. I've got all my stuff too. Yeah. How do you juggle that? And
Well,
that,
it's a healthy, just go ahead. Sorry.
no, no, no. Go, 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 go. Go.
It's a healthy use of our extra energy. Like Ken Patterson is a personality in model railroading who went to a layout, and it was a great big large layout. There's 4 guys there during the interview, and he said, "So this place keeps you out of the bars, right?" And everybody's like, "Yeah," you know, because what do people do if they got nothing to do? You know,
Right.
sometimes it's golf, the bar.
Or the internet, and whatever that implies.
Yeah, yeah. There's something way more unhealthy. You know, there's all kinds of outlets that you can have, and the best one is to be creative.
Right. And also, like your work too. I mean, it influences people who see it, and same with mine. this is a little brag here. It's only because I don't invite this. Maybe on some subconscious level I do, but another film crew is coming in from Canada. National Canada Board of Film or something like that has been doing a tour of model builders, miniaturists, and stuff like that, and they're going to be filming me as a very tiny segment into a larger thing. And my question is every time, and this is not false modesty, but when they contacted me, they said, "Oh, this is important. We want you in here." And I go, "Who am I? Who am I?" I still don't see it. But clearly it has affected these people, and I want to put that to you too. People see your work, and it has inspired somebody, and it gets them to get away from the bars or the internet or whatever. And yeah, it's not just keeping busy. It's not. It's not being in an old folks' home, playing bingo or something like that. We are actually creating something that inspires other people.
It's almost our own form of exercise.
Yeah, it is. Oh, no. I have strong fingers now.
Don't mess with me.
I can cut 2-ply, 4-ply mat board, in one swipe.
Yeah.
But
that's a great achievement. And you know what? And I understand how you feel. Of course, I feel the same way. But between us, I think of, it's unfounded in us, isn't it? It's nice to have this friendship between us because I'm saying to you, don't feel that way, even though I am so challenged by these feelings that I'm taking my own advice at the same time. So it's good being friends.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Because it allows me to maybe counsel myself at the same time as saying, don't do it, buddy, because you're really good.
Yes. We are imaginative, creative beings. I mean, I have to tell myself that, I'm just, God, the stuff we just slap around on our shoulders, these little voices that are just, it keeps us honest, but at the same time, there's so many stumbling, but we're so busy jumping over these hurdles that we put out on ourselves. Imagine what we could do otherwise,
Yeah. Well, if it was a real job, yeah. Well, no. Like if you had other people who took care of all the horse pucky, what you could accomplish,
right?
Because we do all the jobs.
Yeah.
We're the secretary, we're the bill payer, and all that jazz.
I'm the cleaning crew too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah. So that's a great accomplishment, man. That's awesome.
Well,
that's really cool.
Which reminds me, a good segue again, is looking to interview other people. I think I had written to you about this person who lives a couple towns over. Anyway, we connected because he's a model maker, does HO scale. And I, you don't know what to expect. And I saw the work there, and it was 4 feet long by about 2 feet wide, stuff like that, all lit up. And it brought me to tears. And he works in his basement, his wife's in the next other room of the basement doing something else and stuff. And he has never showed anybody anything. And the quality was like, and he's like us, talking to him. I felt like I was talking to myself, he says, I don't know if this is right.
Yeah. Inner criticism. Yeah.
Yeah. But seamless, flawless, the gluing, no glue marks. Everything. And it didn't look mechanical. There was certainly a life in it and stuff. And there was a soul there in his work. And he didn't see it. He internally, it made him very happy and stuff like that. But it was just such a thrill to see somebody who, anyway, it made me think of you, it made me think of me. So I don't know if this is something you want to consider and what level, is this, I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. But clearly there are people, in their basements or attics, doing all this stuff.
Yeah. Let's interview him. Yeah. Let's get him on and talk to him if he's interested.
Yes. I won't.
I think that some people, I think we're all genuinely like that guy. And the second I started making videos, I broke out from being that guy.
Right.
But only superficially.
Mm-hmm.
because really I'm still that guy who's really afraid to share my stuff.
Yeah.
Like here's a funny story. I drove down to Ken Patterson's show. It's a show that gets 50,000 viewers each month.
Oh my
Like,
God.
right? And I went down there, and I had never built a model in one day before. I never wanted to build a model in one day, right? But I was sent down there by a company, and I started building the model. I built it in one day, all done and all that jazz, right? And it was like, I was so nervous about what I was producing on the show. I'm kind of forgetting my point here, but I was so nervous about what I was producing on the show that, oh, now I know. I've never watched that show.
Yes.
I didn't watch, like, I haven't seen my performance. All I, in my mind, is remember doing it in that room, and I watched the whole program and skipped over my portion because I don't want to see all the mistakes that
Right.
I might think the whole world is talking about.
Right. Right. Oh, the Ron Perry. Oh,
He's
geez.
a
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
fraud. He's a
Oh
fraud.
yeah, yeah. The big F.
You know
Uh,
what? You know, I
well,
like I posted a video on a forum the other day, and I know you tell me not to talk about this stuff or not
that's
worry
okay.
about it. And the guy said, if you made better videos. And the funny thing, and my point about saying that is just not to be negative, but the thing is that the effect that these people don't understand is that's one comment that turns into a billion comments
Yes.
inside of my head.
Absolutely.
You know, and that guy, he just kicked me in the package, you know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and he thinks he's didn't do much. He thought he was just being a little, I don't know what he thinks he was doing, but you know, it's just, I'll always remember that guy's name,
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know, and one day he's going to try to introduce himself to me, and I'm just going to,
don't say it. Don't say it.
I won't say it. I'll just look and nod.
You
you
give him
know,
the look.
yeah,
Give him the look.
that's you.
Yes, and I guess that gets back to, and maybe we're just beating this dead horse, but it's clearly this horse is still around, and
It's
we're
not a dead horse. I know what you're talking about, and we've been
Yeah.
talking about it since the beginning, and I think that we're the only ones
but-
who've
but
ever
that-
discussed it.
right. But yeah, one little does that show lack of self-respect or ego or too much ego or something like that? Yes, because one little. I think I might have mentioned somebody actually sent me a death threat because they did not like my photos and how I presented. I mean, it was frightening. And again, like you said, it's right there, you know. And it's like, am I going to get more death threats? It's like, you have to get a perspective. I have to sit back and say a death threat for over a photograph that's a model, you know, that blah 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 blah. But it still lingers there. There's something. There's a hook that has long, you know, grabbed onto us.
Well, let's consider the whole process of this. Something like that happens to you, and you start not wanting to talk about the things that challenge you in your art.
Right.
Right? And I just went through this big project that I could have used the help of a couple of local modelers.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But I didn't want to put myself out there and say that I'm struggling and I need help because, you know, I don't want anybody to expand on that. You know,
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to take that and misinterpret it in some weird way. So I worked twice as hard rather than including some people who would have probably really appreciated to be a part of a project like that because maybe they might not have never been able to do something like that.
Right. Yeah.
You know, like maybe this layout will be in a magazine one day, you know, and like it just bothers me sometimes, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know,
No,
weird.
it's part. I think it's part of the process. I have not. I can say this. I have never met somebody, other model makers or architectural people and stuff like that, that don't have these doubts, but they don't verbalize it. I suspect everybody is carrying this in some way or another. Because if you verbalize it, then it shows your vulnerability and maybe whatever. And if you met somebody, I know some people who have egos the size of Montana, and it just makes me wonder: is that a front?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway,
Well, I said that to somebody in an email once. The difference between arrogance and ego is a way of dealing with it, of dealing with. I'll have to look that up. Because there's a real difference between arrogance and ego, where you use it as a suit of armor.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yes.
The ego. The ego is just something so that, they can't see your inner facade, or the inner real you. You've got the facade up, and it was a magazine editor who I said that to, who said that I've got a huge ego. I know where to find that quote.
And you know where this person lives too.
Oh no, he's an okay guy. It's just that sometimes people misinterpret their jealousy, or maybe not. I don't know. Jealousy is such a loaded word, but they're jealous of somebody, and then all of a sudden that person is on some high mountain. Even though he's just climbing, trying to climb on landslide.
Absolutely. God, what a... Whew. I always think, who would I be? And I sometimes ask people that I speak to, and I say, but I put it into my own perspective. Who would I be if I was on an island by myself and not interacting? Would I be, would I be an arrogant SOB, or would I be, whatever? It's just, I have no idea. I have no clue. I'd like to think that certain times, because I'm up on the third floor, making my models, I am myself, 100% myself. But I can't catch myself in that act. And so I don't know what that looks like. But otherwise, there's just all the internal dialogue and the whatever. Yeah.
I'm the guy who won't walk up to the bar and sit with you and talk, but I'll help you out in the field.
Yeah. Yes.
And if we're stuck on the elevator together, I'm the first one to talk.
Uh-huh. Oh, interesting. Yeah.
I'd rather say, I'm a nervous, quiet person on a regular basis, but when I'm in an elevator, I just start talking to people. I seem to want to get to know everybody, maybe their intentions, I don't know, but when I'm in an elevator, I just am the first one to talk. So my wife hates it.
Wow. Maybe because it's a limited audience, for only a few minutes, going up, 10 floors or something. I don't know.
They're stuck.
Yeah, they're stuck. That's right. I have the captive audience?
Yeah, that's what it is, the captive audience. Yeah.
Gee. Yeah, personalities. I was going to say, do you know any extroverted model makers, creative people and stuff like that? Nope. You too, huh? I'm just trying to figure out, who do I know who is so self-confident yet not arrogant, and yet has no self-doubt. Maybe that's a fantasy.
You see, that's the thing that we play, right? That's what I said. Like, using ego as a shield, is that I've got to be confident when I'm doing certain things. Like when I'm somebody's asked a question and I'm sharing a technique that I've scientifically studied to the point of, every detail. And then somebody comes up and does a carbon copy of what they read in a magazine, right? I'll fight my point. And it's not arrogance or ego. Right. It's just because I spent the time and I failed at this. Like, I had to pull out a hairdryer. I had to fix it. I had to do, I had to struggle with it. I had inner turmoil. So I'm going to fight this point, and it's easily misinterpreted. Like, on the internet, text does not hold emotion. It doesn't have that metadata to it. everything we have has this metadata to it where you can read between the lines, the author, the date, all that stuff, like what's the intention. But in text, there is no emotion, there's no intent, there's no, like, it's so easily interpreted that I'm often like totally, like, I'm talking this way and somebody takes this point that's 15 feet behind me, and I'm just like, let me read close. What did I just say? Like, how did I fuck that up? Like.
when I write emails, just chit chat emails to people, I will write them 4 or 5 times for that specific reason, because I'll write it out just to get the essence there, and then step away from it for a while, and then reread it, with a fresh eye, and say, oh, that really this could be misinterpreted, and but man, it's this real slippery slope of, because they don't know. I might have been angry, maybe I was, who knows what, while I was writing or people sometimes say, oh, were you mad at me? And it was like, no, I was trying to be funny, or I was trying to be, but that, as you said, the emotion doesn't come across, so you have no idea.
It'd be very, like, it'd be interesting to know how many universities and colleges have a class on this already, because this is a serious issue. It's a serious issue. And the thing is that we're so sensitive to language that using text is, it's suicide.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. And that's almost, when I started, I didn't start making videos. I was writing articles, right?
Really? Oh.
Yeah. And I moved to video, and I don't know if that's because maybe my point got across the way I wanted it to, even though it still don't come out right.
Yeah, but to interrupt you for a second, in the videos, your personality comes through, and if you're having self-doubt and saying, "Oh, this might not turn out all right," to see you visually, you realize it's going to turn out all right. Your body language is saying something. Yeah, so I think that's what I like about your videos, is that I really kind of know what you're doing then. It's not the written word, there's no misinterpretation here, and that's important.
We've had a great talk. I think we should let's not push it.
I know we've really been jabbering around for an hour here then. So anyway, thank you, Ron. Always a pleasure. Good to see you.
Hey, let's do it again. Let's plan to do it again whenever you want, or whenever we knock heads. Okay,
you send up the flare. My schedule's more flexible than yours, so anyway.
Actually, mine's pretty open right now for the next. Okay. I just got morning work, and that's it.
Okay. Enjoy.
Milking cows again.
Oh, you really are. You wrote that, and I thought you were being euphemistic on this one.
No, I the neighbor down the road. I've got to work.
Oh, geez.
So it's like I'm not doing it 7 days a week anymore, but I'm on 5 days.
Good Lord. I have one quick question about milking a cow. Do you put your head up against their stomach while you're milking? Is there a gurgling going on?
No, well, cows kick forward. Horses kick back. So when you're in there, you kind of, you got to stay out of the line of attack.
Yeah.
So it's arms around.
Oh, jeez, Lord. Better you than me.
And it's a milker now, so it's just like quick.
Okay.
And you're in and out. But always remember that. Cows kick forward, horses kick back.
Okay. May I never meet an animal. Okay, take care. Talk to you later.
You have a good day. Thank you.